generosity that creates an instant human connection. You give off a bit of yourself. The first thing I learned about being on TV is that it's about storytelling. And whoever tells story has power. So why will you hand over the power to decide who you are, who you should be to someone else? The next thing I learned about being on TV is that some of the stories that we tell can be twisted, can become half-truth, or even a version of the stories can be told. Recently, the BBC made a story about the low rate of death in Africa during the pandemic against global high rate prediction. They attributed it to poverty, the level of poverty in Africa. What if I was the one telling the story? What if it was an African telling the story? They could have said things like, the pandemic didn't affect the Africans because since I was 2 years old, my mother started giving me malaria drugs because mosquito bit me, and this could have built my immune, made it stronger to withstand the COVID-19. You see, the narratives have changed because of the person telling the story. A tool so powerful and so defining should not be left in the hands of others. My name is Ada Onwuachinemere. You can follow me across all social media platforms at Ada Onwuachinemere, and I'm speaking on the beauty of telling our stories ourselves. I tell you this, telling stories has always fascinated me in a way that inspires and also motivates. From the foundation of the earth, our forefathers have always used stories to teach and preserve our heritage. It is our family tradition that we all sit back on the dinner table after dinner to share stories of what has happened to us during the day. Now, my father tells us stories of what his father has told us. This helps us to preserve our family heritage. It also builds confidence in me and my siblings. Not only that, it helps to foster family unity. Now, I know who I am, I know whose daughter I am, and I know that my grandfather had left his hometown and went to a place, a seemingly remote, acquired acres of land, became the wealthiest man in my village at the time, and then started his family. Imagine that someone else was telling the same story. They could say things like, oh, come on, your grandfather came to my village, stole all our land, collected my sister forcefully, and then what happened? And then chased all of us away. You see, the narrative have changed. The person who tells a story determines the direction, the structure, the mode of the story, because the story will always be based on the idiosyncrasies of the storyteller. Stories create instant human connection globally. Perhaps when you hear my story, you might be inspired to change your life because you see some element of my struggle. They resonate with you. And this tells you that humans are fundamentally the same. From around the world, you feel loved, you feel hate, you even have an instinct when something doesn't feel right. You think, there's something off about this. I feel the same. And then in telling you how I feel, you have a picture that we, perhaps, are the same. So that helps us to understand one another better. Stories create instant human connection. Perhaps when you hear my own story, you might be inspired to change your life because you see some elements of my struggles in the stories about yourself. Stories allows us to document our experiences, also to imagine, create the life, the future as we want, as we look forward towards 2045. This is a tool that the United Nations can use extensively and improve global cooperation. For me to preserve our stories, I started a coded boss, which is about telling stories of everyday business people who is doing the best they can with what they have from where they are. The space I'm using for this presentation is owned by an accredited painter. His name is Obi Naufele, who started painting from the time he was 6 years old. Now, over the years, he made some money and went to school, studying fine art and then coming back to start his studio. Some people also work under him. Now, this is the beauty of telling our stories. And this is the kind of stories that we want to capture. The stories that you can never see in the mainstream. Now, there's also another young man I met recently selling pure water. All he wants to do is to feed his hungry mother and his little sister. Today he makes an average of 10,000 naira. These are stories you don't see in the mainstream. Another guy, 15 years back, he started his business with just 2,000 naira. What did he do? Printing. Today he makes an average of 300 million per annum. These are stories of resilience of Nigerians doing the best they can. You will never see this in the mainstream. The only thing you get to see is stories of cybercrime, Yahoo boys, things that are negative. But if we as Africans take it upon ourselves and begin to tell our own stories, what is going to happen? The narrative will change. We can tell our own stories, and that is what I am trying to do from my own corner of the world. Begin to tell your own stories. I also have another show called Epoch, which basically tells stories of artists, their early beginnings, their struggles, the movies that they make. Recall, movie making is one of the biggest exports of Nigeria, yet the amount of money that is being invested in movie is very minute, but we make the best of it and we are making waves all over the world. So this is a lot of stories like this across Nigeria, but you will never see it in the mainstream. What am I trying to say? Stories define us. Any story is not an act of giving something of yourself. You tell a portion of your life and give it out to people. And the mistake that we make is to begin to think that our story is irrelevant. When people see stories of people like them in the mainstream, it gives them courage to want to change their stories, to want to change themselves. If I see a story of someone like me in the mainstream, and I'll be like, if this person can do it, then myself, I can also become something, because my dreams are valid and I can be anything I want to be. And the story is telling stories is the only thing that gives you that connection, that gives you that power to create the kind of life you want to live. When I started out in media, my friends used to say that I'm a global local content, that if I wanted to go further in this job, I needed to go take it national. Oh yeah? I told him not to worry, that it doesn't matter how little your story is, so long as you are able to tell it and you are making impact from your own corner of the world. And look at me today. I am connecting globally, talking to millions of people around the world. You don't know who's listening to this. So I'm a global icon. So when they are thinking that I'm a local content, yeah, no, I'm global. So you have to go ahead and tell your own story, because the world is waiting to hear from you. The world wants to see your story, because your story can impact us towards the greater good of humanity. Why then won't you want to share your story? So as I wrap up, you need to know that your story is a gift to humanity. It doesn't matter how insignificant you think it might be. That singular small story of you doing the best you can with what you have from where you are could be the defining moment from someone else across Nigeria or across the world. The beauty of telling our own story is that we have the power to decide who we want to be or how we want our future to look like. So thank you so much, Ambassador Smith, for having me add my voice to the conversation towards UN 75th anniversary, towards 2045. My name is Adako Wachim, and I'm bravo to all the guys who's connected around the world. Long live the United Nations. Long live Nigeria. I am connecting from Port Harcourt, Nigeria, and I want to say I'm proud to say I'm Nigeria. So keep telling your stories and don't stop believing in the beauties of your dreams. Cheers.